Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Freemium podcast. We got Mr. Chris Domsodi on the show today. Of what's the official name? DZD? I just always say DZD.
Plancher Bellefeuille.
Plancher Bellefeuille.
Yeah, that's my division. So DZD is the the father company,
the big company,
and then Plancher Bellefeuille is what I work for. It's the finished product side.
Okay. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Or reuse the joke I used when you asked me to be on the podcast. You should never meet your heroes. So big fan of the podcast. Happy to be here.
Appreciate it. Have you seen like our chopped up clips and stuff on Instagram and TikTok? And
yeah, I follow those. I'm hoping to get a little one little viral.
You'll
clip
get a couple.
Going.
We'll get you a couple.
Yeah.
Are you more of a TikTok guy or Instagram guy?
Well, my girlfriend laughs at me. She says, like, I use Instagram for TikTok purposes kind of thing. So I don't use TikTok necessarily. Like, we have it, for social media, but I like the clips. So I guess Instagram, but multifaceted.
Do you get business from the TikTok videos that you make for Plancher Bellefeuille?
I would say, our social media has kind of, exploded, I would say, since we started using that agency. Yeah. So it's been like a little less than a year. I don't know if we can necessarily pinpoint it to TikTok directly, but I mean, since we started posting, we get people, messaging us, hey, we see your videos, it's awesome, the content. So I feel like social media as a whole is working. Yeah. But it's always hard to pinpoint, which lane like you're getting the lead from. Like, do you guys run Google ads too? Yeah. So we have two firms. We have our marketing firm, which does our content creation. So they'll come in once a month. It used to be once a month. We've changed it to once every 2 months because it gets to be a little heavy. Yeah. So they'll come in, they'll give us a shot list. So we'll meet with them. Plan out the posts, and then they'll come in, do content creation for one day. Sometimes we'll do on the site like a second day, and then they'll pump out the content for 2 months worth.
Whose idea was this?
The young people at the office.
We got to get on social media.
Yeah, so we tried to do it ourselves. It's one of those things like, to save money, end up spending more of your time, which you can kind of equate to costing more than what you would have paid. Yeah. But we saw like another company that was doing it, and we loved their content, and we just messaged a guy who was like a supplier we work with. I said, hey, who does your social media? They referred us the person. Price was high, but we said, let's give it a shot. And then to answer your first question, yes, we do have Google ads as well. So we have another agency that does that. So we kind of went all in marketing wise this year. So we said, let's try it out.
And do you feel you guys are getting the results, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's a slower year compared to the pandemic year. So I feel like we've been able to keep our numbers somewhat at that rate. So I feel like that's, to me, the social media is what's helped. Does it drive all of our business? Maybe not, but it definitely, it certainly helps.
I find it's just like social media. It basically, because they're not going to convert on the platform. Yeah. It's a brand awareness campaign. So it's just basically when they are ready to make that decision that you're top of mind when they are ready to install a new hardwood floor or something like that. Like, we always try and do the same thing. This is why we post the clips. It's not for them to convert right away. Like, if you see a video on TikTok, they're not going to go, oh, I want car insurance right now. Yeah. But we're hoping that we're top of mind when they are ready to make a decision, or if their renewal comes up. And I'm sure it's kind of like the same thing for you. Google, I find, is more of a convert right now. Like, people go, if you're scrolling through Instagram or scrolling through TikTok, you're not in the mind frame of, oh, I'm going to buy something now. Whereas you go to Google to kind of buy something right away. Yeah. Like, those are the ones that convert. So if you see the brand awareness ad on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook, and then you go on Google and you see the same brand again, so now all of a sudden they know who you are. They trust your brand a little bit more, and they're probably more likely to convert and become a customer. Yeah. So but you got to do everything. You got to have do you guys do any SEO as well, like blogs and stuff?
A little bit. We'll repost some stuff, but we don't.
So it's more social media and then a little bit of a pay-per-click on Google.
Yeah, we tried some MailChimp kind of, not spam, but like they seem to come off as spam over those kind of mailing lists. For us, another thing about the social media is we do so many different things. So you read our name, Plancher Bellefeuille, you think flooring, but so it was always me just yapping to my friends, telling them that everything that I do. But we do. We do floors, we do stairs, we do millwork, we do exterior siding. So in theory, we can do basically everything in your house and even outside of your house.
Anything related to wood?
Yeah, mostly. We sell some ceramic, but we're not big players. We stick to kind of what we're good at.
And you guys will do the installs too?
Install, most things. 90% of what we sell, we install. Exterior siding is the only thing we won't sell. Won't install, excuse me. But that's something I think that social media helped, because you're able to, through a video, you can show where everything's coming from. So you have, compared to, not to bash our competitors, but compared to the walk-in store, the flooring store, you walk in, you have a sales guy, dressed like me, talks like me, got the same pitch, and we are selling the same thing at the end of the day. But I know a little bit more about the backside of where this product comes from. I see it being transformed. I see a piece of raw lumber turned into the finished floor, or if it's a door, I'm able to kind of speak with production and the clients. I find that like it's pretty neat, kind of neat aspect. I mean, I find it neat. Maybe not the common user doesn't really care where it's coming from.
They just want to have a nice floor.
Yeah, but I find like that's stuff that you can't really explain. I mean, you could explain it, but they don't really care until you see it happening. It's pretty interesting to see the transformation.
I feel like you're a good salesman.
I try to be. Yeah, no, I mean, but
do you sell more in French or in English?
French.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like my clients.
So where did you learn like how did your French get so good? Because all these Westies, you know, when West Island people typically speak in, especially the Anglophones, when they start speaking in French, they can speak French, but they have a thick English accent. You have a little accent when you speak, but it's still very good. Like you're 100% fluent in French.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it. Obviously I went to French immersion school, so growing up I would learn. I wasn't necessarily the best French speaker, but in CEGEP I was in the, I forget what they call it, but that, you know, the A class, high level French, not by choice. I was forced by my mother. But I think when I really got good at French, I was working a pool job, which is like an amazing summer job. Like you can't beat that as a summer job. It's
Which pool?
No, it was cleaning pools.
Oh, cleaning pools.
Sorry,
Okay,
I didn't say that.
I meant lifeguard. Okay.
No, so we would clean pools. We do opening and closing, but the vast majority of it, the summer, was, you know, just driving around in a pickup truck, stopping, cleaning a pool. And it's one of those jobs that A, you're out in the sun, and B, you can't really work that hard. I mean, you're putting in a long day. You're getting to the shop at 6 a.m. and you're finishing 7 p.m. But you're just standing there cleaning a pool slowly. The faster you go, the worse of a job you actually do. Okay. So anyways, all that to say, my boss was French, so he would speak to me in English to work on his English. I would speak to him in French, and I would just listen to him talking all day long. So I feel like I don't know if that's where I got it, but I definitely learned my French there, and then just working at St. Jerome, it's like, I mean,
St. Jerome, that's super.
We speak French. I speak French literally all day long. I have a few colleagues that are English, but other than that, like, you know, everyone walking in.
The owner of the business is English.
Yeah, so they're from the West Island. They grew up, like, you know, down the street from here.
How's his French?
It's good. It's good.
Like yours, I guess.
It's like a father's French, you know. It's like that little, you know, that kind of that.
He's got the accent.
He speaks well in French. It's like got that little bit of an accent, but yeah, I've deemed it like my accent's a little more Quebecois, so I got that. You know.
No, it's good. I heard on your TikTok Plancher Bellefeuille posts and stuff. I'm like, damn, his French is pretty good.
I mean, I for sure have those days where you know, some days like your French, you just like, doesn't compute. Like you mostly on Mondays for me, but you walk in and it's just like I'm talking and I don't even know what I'm saying in French.
And some days you feel like a keb.
Oh,
for some days you're just like firing. Your French is like, damn, my French is good today.
I'm like ready to move up to St. Jerome. It's that good, you know, like full time. Let's dig in.
So why do you get up at like 4:30 in the morning? Is that just seize the day type of thing, or do you actually get to work and stuff?
Well, I mean, the construction industry as a whole starts earlier, so it's I mean, that was kind of one of the things. But I recently developed a new passion of running and also biking, I guess, like road biking. Okay. So because I have an hour and a half drive to St. Jerome.
Takes you an hour and a half to get to work.
Yeah, like I mean, a good day, let's say an hour, and on the way back it's always an hour and a half. Like to carry traffic is killer. I mean, it's part of where I live. I live downtown, and I'm going up to St. Jerome, so I try to get off early. So and then if you want to be able to get in a workout, you got to do it earlier. So I try to wake up around ideally 4:30, but sometimes 5, and then I try to get a workout in 30-minute little Peloton with my buddy Alex Toussaint.
Are you in the office every day?
Yeah, so actually 2 weeks ago, so it was my second week we're trying to do remote, so I know it's a hot topic for you. So I was a big believer in, I thought like you, where it's like you have to be in the office. In our line of work, like you kind of do, because we want to talk to production and everything is kind of going on there.
Yeah. And you guys, with regards to the production at the company, so everything's done like on site. You guys don't outsource any of the production, so you're getting the wood, you're cutting it up, you're making it all nice on location?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, we do sell some imported products, so vinyl floors, laminate floors, all that kind of stuff is is purchased through a supplier. It's either shipped or picked up by us. Okay. But anything wood, so anything our doors, our siding, our flooring, it's all done in-house in St. Jerome. So we have this huge shop. So DZD, going back to that side, is we're a step after the lumber mill. So we don't take the logs and cut them. We get it from that point on. And then we transform the green lumber. We put into kilns. We have 10 kilns that air dry, and I mean, air dry is outside of the kilns, but kiln dry the lumber, and then we resort it. So that's a whole separate part of the business, but it ties into our Plancher Bellefeuille side. So
DZD is like the parent, and then so you have Plancher Bellefeuille, which is the hardwood flooring. What are the other, I guess, I don't want to say subsidiaries, divisions of the company.
It's namely that. There's another division in the Bahamas, so they'll do like high-end homes in the Bahamas.
Cool.
So
and that's owned by Dollinger as well.
There's a sales guy out in that, like a full-time resident sales guy out there. Sales, I guess, like project lead, I would say.
Yeah.
So he'll give us all the measurements, and I say, so I'm not really implicated in the Bahamas portion, but they'll give all the measurements here, and we build everything. So we've done like bunk beds. Staircases are pretty straightforward. Flooring, all that stuff gets built here or in St. Jerome, created, and then sent out there, and then gets installed. So most of our stuff happens in St. Jerome. So it's like, you want to quote, let's say for a table, I could base it off of other tables I've done, but the best, most accurate quote, I'm going to go speak to the carpenters in the back. I'm going to say, hey guys, here's a project that a client wants something custom, and they'll kind of all work and collaborate together. Over the phone, to me, it's kind of tough. So in that sense, I always loved kind of being in the office for that reason. But with the commute and all that stuff, it's nice to have maybe 1 or 2 days where I can work a little bit more remotely.
Would you ever live in St. Jerome?
No. I would say short answer, but no, abruptly no. That's a decision, it's a two-person decision, but no, I would. I like Tremblant and Saint Sauveur and all like that. Cottage country. It's beautiful out there. It's quiet,
beautiful, yeah.
But full time, it's not like I'm a city guy. Like I like action. I like walking around, biking. Obviously running as well, but I like a little bit more of the action than the quiet side.
Okay, so St. Jerome. Let's say I live in St. Jerome. What's there to do on a Friday night in St. Jerome?
Yeah. St. Jerome's, it's a little, there is a downtown. It's actually kind of, like, I guess, cute for lack of better terms. They have some, some restaurants and stuff, but I wouldn't necessarily say there's like a big nightlife scene there. They have there's a theater and there's all that kind of stuff. But mostly, you're in St. Jerome, you drive another 15 minutes, you have Saint Sauveur, and then Trumbo is obviously a stretch, but there's so many of those little kind of towns around there. So you could get up to, you could have some fun in that area, but not obviously not like downtown Montreal.
Yeah. Well, you live in the old port. You were just saying, and what we live on McGill. You said
on McGill, yeah. So it's.
Are you near? Are you near the bottom on that? Where's that restaurant called?
Now Bar.
No, it's the old Bonanete owners, and it's in the condo building. I forget what the fuck's the name of it.
Do you know the Quartet, the breakfast place?
No.
Quartet. There's Now Bar. There's Vandal.
I know Now Bar. You're near Now?
Now, I'm somewhat attached to that building. It's all there's 4 or 5 that are attached.
And how long you lived there for?
This will be our second year in August. So.
Okay. I just moved back to the West Island, so I'm the opposite of you. I was living in Point St. Charles.
Let's say you were right near me at Point St. Charles.
Yeah, well, I couldn't deal with the traffic anymore. It was like same thing, 45 minutes to get to work, 45 minutes to an hour to get to work in the morning. Yeah. And then after, same thing, I had to deal with the carry. So if I wanted to go home, like if it's snowing and like 5 o'clock, 5:30 rolls around here, I just wouldn't go home. It'll take you 2 hours to get home. Yeah. So I moved to the West Island. Now it's 10 minutes, 12 minutes to get here in the morning and 10 minutes to get home after. So it's.
You got like a house with a lawn and everything, like the full West Island. I have a house with a
lawn. I rent actually. So okay. I didn't want to buy, and then
cut the grass yourself, or
I haven't had to cut the grass yet because I just moved in November. Okay. But now I gotta get all the dirt. I gotta get the grains. I gotta get the seeds to put on. Like the lawn looks like absolute shit, and I think there's grubs too in it. So all the birds are like tearing up the grass, and my dog fucking's always running around and ripping up the grass and stuff, but it's okay. We'll get around to that.
I always say how I want to move to the West Island eventually, but I have 80 years where you can cut the grass, so I'll postpone it as long as I can.
Plus you're young, 29. Yeah. When did you move to the downtown?
Pandemic, so 4 years now. Time flies. 4 or 5 years. Okay. We did St. Henry first. We loved that, so we did 1 year there, and then kind of wanted to shift. St. Henry's fun. It's got its perks. We were kind of living on the tougher side of St. Henry, so it's a little dicier for me. It's fine.
On the wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah, that's it. So there wasn't as much to do. We were at Atwater Market side, and then we found this. We just kind of got lucky with this friend that was moving out of her place in the old port, and we took.
Is it big?
Yeah, it's not to brag, but it's a pretty sweet place. The only knock is it's 4 floors and you got to walk out. There's no elevator. So imagine you do a Costco run and
it's okay. You're young. You're 29.
But you see that case of bubbly and you're like, ooh, those would be good. But damn, I got to bring them all the way upstairs.
What you find with Costco, it's like every single time you want to. I can't go into that place and leave without spending at least $200. I don't think it's possible.
I hate we just got it maybe 3-4 months ago, our Costco membership, and it's I've probably spent $3,000 in 3 months. It's it's you go there for, one time we did it for a party. That was great. You get some good deals, but you go and you want to buy tomatoes. I have 13 tomatoes at my house now. It's I make a Greek salad once a week kind of thing. So it's like it, and I was reading up on Costco. They make by
by design, they don't list any of the aisles. Because don't you find sometimes when you go there, you have to, like, if you want to get the milk or the eggs or the vegetables, that's all in one section. But other stuff, you have to kind of look around the aisles. Yeah. That's by design, so you get lost and end up just buying more shit.
Yeah, and there's like that consumer confidence that they build where even if you don't want to buy this thing, you just trust them that it's the best deal. So like, I love what's the Gala apple? I forget the brand of like that type of apple. And it's like, you see the big box and like, again, do I need 12 of these? No, but I trust that it's going to be a good price. So I buy it, but like you could have got them for the, so it's, And my only other knock on Costco is, other than the bulk purchasing, is just like, I hate that they don't have certain things. So nothing worse than like you like, okay, I'm going to spend the next hour grocery shopping and then you got to go somewhere else after it.
Like, that's irritating. But it's like, I like to get my meat there. I get, sometimes I'll buy avocados, but the same thing, because avocados, you buy a pack of 10 and then, because avocados, you have like a 2, maybe a 3-day window to eat all of them, and they're really good avocados. But then you're like, shit, I gotta eat 10 avocados for the next 3 days.
All at once. It's I was actually literally joking about that with a friend like 2 days ago or 3 days ago. We were talking about the same thing, how they all go ripe at the exact same time. Yes. So you buy 12 bricks from them when you basically, and then you have a 24-hour window to smash all the avocados you can. And
so let's talk about the business a little bit more. So how many employees over at the?
Yeah, again, it's tough because of the two sides. But
we'll focus on Plancher. Bellefeuille.
Plancher Bellefeuille, we're 5 salespeopeople.
Yeah, and then actually let's back up a little bit. Like let's talk about like specifically what it is that you do at Plancher Bellefeuille.
So I was able
top sales guy.
Yeah, I was able to write actually what I wanted on my business card. Cool. So I did sales representative.
What did you put on your business card? Facilitator.
Yeah, that guy. Basically I'm obviously in sales, but I would kind of gear it more towards like a project manager. So that's something I updated recently on my LinkedIn.
Yeah. Very nice. So that's when you know it's official.
Yeah. Because so like a sales process. So you obviously you meet the clients. There's walk-ins. There's word of mouth leads like any business. So you'll give them the tour. You'll do the song and dance to talk about the different products we sell, their interests and what they're looking for. And then I take it one step further where I'm going actually onto the site. So I'll go to your house. Let's say you wanted to buy a floor. I'll come to your house and I'll look around and I'll say, okay, you have this, and this, which makes me suggest this product. And then obviously that would dictate the quoting. Mm-hmm. So I do all the measurements and then I coordinate with production. So once, it goes from quote to order, then we have a back end team that takes care of the rest. But then we coordinate, delivery, and then.
But if something goes wrong, you're the guy that the client's going to call.
Exactly. Yeah. I also manage the installation. So we have our own installers, which is also pretty unique to the industry. So we have. We have 6 installers. We call it 6 teams because it sounds better. But we have 6 installers, all certified guys. So we do 2 different types of certification. So what's nice about that is, again, it's if you have, you hire Joe Blow and then they say, okay, here's my referral. And then as soon as, something goes wrong, it's call him. But now so everyone comes back to me, which is a blessing and a curse, obviously. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we do. And lately, stairs have really taken off. So we've become, we like to think.
Why have stairs taken off?
Just there's not a lot of competition. Like I don't want to say it's like a dying craft, but there's like 3 main big players in the staircase business, and then we're kind of somewhere in the middle where we can kind of offer the really high end. Like I'll do a staircase that's going to your basement, it's $3,000, some in that range, and I've done some staircases that are like $100,000. So wow. So there's a huge skew. Obviously, there's a lot more.
And is it always for like you're selling mostly to residential? Do you ever do commercial or industrial, or it's not? It's pretty much all residential.
No industrial. Most we've done some like projects, some condo tower projects. Yeah. Not really our game. That's more like not that the margin side is not what we're after. It's really low margin, obviously, but it's tough for us. Like we have the capacity to do it, but you're kind of when you sell these big condo tower, you have to treat them so if they're delayed, like you have to make it work. Then it just doesn't work with our day-to-day scheduling.
Got it.
But
what would you say is the percentage split between like residential and commercial? It's almost all residential.
Yeah, I would say 95%. It depends on what you classify as commercial, like a restaurant or like an office space. We do that decently, but like the big towers, like like the Sherbrooke one they're building now, like we quoted on it, but it's not really our game. It's more for there's companies that literally just do that. They pallet slingers, I call them. They buy a pallet at one price and they just flip it quick, and then they have these install teams that are basically it's one crew chief who's there every day, and then it's just a Rolodex of people. They'll be like it's a there could be 10 guys that are there one day and then they're not there the next day installing. So it's just go, which is not really our business. We're more.
I find it's like that. It's often like that, like the bigger projects and stuff, because the margins, it's like economies of scale. So it's like the margins are never going to be as good. It's kind of like the same thing in insurance. If you're going to sell, not that I sell these, but I was speaking to one of my buddies. He works at a brokerage. They do like big companies. Like for example, they'll insure Air Canada or something like that. And he's like, yes, the premium's massive, but the overhead and the margins is like, it's not good margins at all. It's like, it's really stressful to deal with them because it's always like now. I need to answer right now. Because they're paying so much, you have to have like a whole team on top of it. And next thing you know, you're like looking at it going, okay, we collected all this money in premium and in fees, but like, are we actually, if you really break it down, are we even making any money? Versus having like an account that's, yes, you still take care of it, but it's not as immediate, not as intense. The margins are always like higher on those ones.
Yeah, and what's scary from a financial standpoint is you have, so like, you can't take it. So like a normal sales process, I'll take a 40% deposit to place the order. So it's, because obviously we're going to have product that we're manufacturing and milling custom for the client's order.
So until you get the money, you're not going to start anything until you get the 40%.
Yeah, and I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to be like that. But so 40% deposit, and then when we deliver the merchandise, even before install, we take the balance. So I mean, we're a company that's been around for 40 years. You have our word that if something goes wrong, we're going to fix it.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll make an exception where we'll leave a little bit of a balance, but the idea is that it's that we need to be paid for the work that we've done, like any company. But when you do these big condo projects, basically you can't ask for a 40% deposit and say projects you got $1 million a floor. You can't ask for that up front. So you'll get a small lump sum, and then you're delivering floor by floor. So at certain points, you could, if you're not on top of your payments, you could be leveraged a couple $100,000. And
construction is notorious for not paying. We're suing someone right now. They owe us $25,000.
Yeah,
the guy just like skipped off, so we sent the lawyer letters, everything. He's still not paying, so we're gonna have to go to court. But it's like, I don't understand. It's like, buddy, you owe us the money. We're gonna sue you.
It happened in Toronto. There's a huge company that was building tons of residential these like big towers, and they went out of business. And unfortunately, the banks get their money first. They get their piece of the pie, and then it trickles down to the
banks always get the money first.
Yeah, that's it. And then it trickles down to the little flooring guy who did his job. He gave all the product out, and he's not going to get paid. And it'll, some companies can afford that hit. Not that anyone really can, but so that's another, kind of dicey aspect of commercial. So that's why we, not why we stay out of it. It's just it's
like running a business or like even sales guys and stuff. Accounts receivable. It's so goddamn important because if you don't get if the client doesn't pay, you don't get paid. The company doesn't, like, no one gets paid. The client has to pay. And look, I hate it when, do you ever deal with those clients and they're kind of like they make you feel bad when you're asking them for the money?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, dude, I can't fucking stand that. Yeah. When someone, if I'm selling you something, it's like, okay, you got to pay right now. It's, well, can I just pay in like 30 days? It's like, no, can you go to the store and freaking leave and buy a bag of chips and pay the depanneur later? No, pay right now. And then they make you feel bad when you're asking for money. Yeah, and I can't fucking stand that. It's like, shut up, pay me.
Yeah, we've so like I agree 100%. I'm the kind of, like, as a person, I'd like, say I did business with you, I'll pay you up front right away.
Yeah.
Like I'm chasing you to pay. Like, I'm that kind of guy.
I want it off my conscience. Pay it. It's what's right is right.
Is it a product of being on the other side of it so often that's
maybe
But I have that all the time where it's like you feel almost awkward calling them and asking. It's like, hey,
don't though. Don't. No, you shouldn't.
So we started. We have no division of collections, obviously. So that which as to me, I don't know if like what you would think about this, but as a salesperson, I find when you have to, obviously you're talking about money to get the sale, but when you're talking about like collections and stuff, I find it kind of sours the relationship and it creates a divide. So that's why I like to be.
It does, but I think it's also in the deliverance of how you say it. It's kind of like, okay, here are the payment options. How would you like to pay? Or even better, I like when they ask, okay, how can I pay? That's my favorite question, because then you're not making the sale. But I used to think like that. Because also, too, you're like, you want to make the sale. You don't want to, I agree, you don't want to sour the relationship. But I've gotten to a point now where I think I've made so many sales, just like, okay, here's the price. And it's like, oh. And then they get a little awkward. It kind of just bothers me, to be honest. I go like, dude, this isn't complicated. What did you think was going to happen? Like, I need my money.
Yeah, and then like it's tough too with different businesses. Like, I mean, I don't know how you guys operate margin wise, but us, it's like it's a lot slimmer than you think, and there's so much that can go wrong.
I'm sure,
So you sell a staircase, and it's like, and I appreciate when someone is giving me their a lot of money for a product. I mean, whether it's $3,000 or $30,000, I treat it the same. Yeah. And I understand the investment that they're putting into it, but it's like, you see a high ticket price and people are like, oh, wow, these guys are making a killing. But it's like, I'm not making 50, 60% like Costco's making. I'm making slimmer margin. So for us, it's there's a lot that goes into it. And then when something goes a little bit wrong, then, you quickly lose your
the margins,
profit. And sometimes
well, it's kind of like, that's the thing. I was speaking to my buddy. He does, my cousin, he does shelving installation. Same thing. He's like, if a project goes 100% perfect, which it never does, he goes, yeah, you make the margins you want to make, but it goes more often than not. There's always something, whether the supplier's late. There's always like, you have the plan laid out, and there's always something that pops up. There might be, so he does like industrial shelving installations. There might be, I don't know, there's a sprinkler in the way. They can't put the shelf there anymore due to code, or there's always something that pops up. And so he goes, my margin that was this, generally speaking, by the end, it's always dwindling down a little bit. Is there any, like, for you, projects that you're doing, is there always something? Or would, like, do more projects kind of go more or less according to plan? Because I feel like anything, when it's like construction, it's always over budget. It's like the saying, it's always over budget, and like always over budget, and it's never on time. Don't get me started about the construction in the city. I got a great example of the street behind my house. But let's get into it. Tell me, I want to.
So I'll start.
Voice your frustration.
We'll start on that. So I live on McGill. Behind me, Sir Grease. Sir Grease is where I park. I'm so lucky. So I got a pickup truck. So to be able to park in the city, I get that little vignette. It's like, to me, it's a steal. I'm paying. It goes by cylinders of your truck, which doesn't make any sense. You can have a pickup truck that has a 6-cylinder engine, and you pay less than someone with a Yaris that has a V8. But anyway,
interesting.
So I park on the street. I get to park literally every single day, not the same spot, but always on that street. I'm super lucky for that.
And there's always parking?
Always parking.
That's
great. It's like just enough off the old port that no one kind of knows about it. Anyway,
that's a big deal.
Oh, I wouldn't honestly, if I was on St. Paul and I'd have to loop around, I wouldn't be living.
Forget it.
I wouldn't be living there.
Makes sense.
So they start this construction project, and so at the time I wasn't working from home, but my girlfriend was working from home, and when I say construction project, it's like they're boring into the ground, like our apartment's like shaking. For 3 months they're doing this. And it's like, again, it doesn't bother me. I leave at 6 a.m. It's but the dust, and so the street's close. I can't park there, and it's it becomes a nuisance. And then 2-3 months goes by, and there's 2-3 weeks goes by, and there's not a single person working on the site. And I'm like looking around, like what's going on? It's like,
and this is not during construction holiday?
No.
It's just no one's there.
They just stop working, and all the signs are out, and then like you park on the street? Can you not park on the street? Whatever. And then now snow is starting to come, and then sure enough and you see the construction company that's there, and you see them doing other work in other areas of the city. It's like they shouldn't be allowed to take another project on until they complete one project. And I know construction, there could be something they're waiting on a part. I could be completely
could be they're waiting on a permit, could be like, who the hell knows what the hell it is.
So they block this whole street. All that to say is, at the end, the winter's coming, they're like, okay, shit, we need to close the street up. They just pave over, they bring this asphalt truck, they do this half-ass asphalt job, asphalt it over the whole winter. It's all bumpy and it's like a disaster. And what did they do in the summer? They tear it all up. So they just spent all this money asphalting temporarily. They tear it all up, and then same thing. They finish it, and all they need to do is put in like 3 little things, and it takes them like another 3 weeks to do it. And the no parking signs are sitting there. It's crazy. But
like, Montrealers talk about this, and we think it's people. I can't stand when someone says, "Oh, it's because we have really harsh winters." Dude, if you go like to Quebec City, or you go to other parts of Quebec in the north, they have harsher winters than Montreal, and the roads are not like what they are here. It's complete incompetence, and I don't know if it's permits. I don't know if it's the construction companies. My theory, honestly, I think it's like the city. I think there's just way too much like bureaucracy in order to get something done. So I was speaking to one of my buddies, friend of a friend, and they were trying to redo it was at the streets or the sidewalks somewhere downtown. I forget, but the construction companies, because they want to get their money, they want to get paid. And they couldn't do the job because they couldn't get the permit from the city. And the city, because they're all city workers, they don't work. And they're always just asking for this, they're always asking for more information, they're always asking, like, we're at a point now where I don't see a way out of this for Montreal. It was like this 20 years ago with the streets. It's like this today. I think it'll be like this or even worse in another 20 years from now. And no mayor ever wants to go after the unions, because then they just won't get elected.
Look at the bridge to Hudson, or St. Lazare area. It's the same thing. It's why does politics have anything to do with infrastructure? So the same thing.
Bro, that bridge was then. I used to go to Whitlock this is when I was 12 years old. So this is 20. I'm 35. It's 23 years ago. It was under construction when I was 12. 23 years ago. It's still under construction today. My ass is going to take 5 years to build that thing. That's going to take 10 years.
And they don't even have the REM going on.
There's no way. This is not getting built.
You see, I mean, I know it's the internet, it's TikTok, but you see these TikToks in Japan. There's a crater that gets developed. There's a literally the road implodes. There's a hole in the road, and they have a time lapse of 72 hours where they're able to repair the road and like they can make a bridge in 3 days turnaround time. Us, it's 5 years and over budget and this and that. It's anyways, I know there's a lot that goes into it.
Bullshit. I'm sure there's a lot that goes into it, but other countries make it work. I don't buy that crock of shit. What's your opinion on the Stade Olympique? $2 billion to demolish it.
Yeah, but like so one thing I heard about is it's how they built it. So they built it to be like it's like
an iron dome.
Yeah, so you can't.
But the roof collapsed.
Yeah, but you can't implode.
So I don't buy that.
You can't implode it normally, so they have to do this special way of deconstructing it. So it would cost so mumuch to deconstruct it because usually you just go in, you put whatever dynamite TNT and it implodes, but it's built so strong that it's not able to implode like normally.
And there's a metro underneath.
Yeah, so the cost to tear it down, so you kind of have no choice. And
I still don't buy it's $2 billion. I mean, if you look at how much was the stadium in LA, the beautiful for the football team, that was like 1.5 or 1.6 billion to rebuild, and that's state of the art. That's like the nicest stadium in North America, debatably, and that was 1.6 billion. And you're going to tell me that it's $2 billion just to demolish Stade Olympique? Fine, I'll buy it a little bit if it's going to be more difficult to like deconstruct it. But I mean, give me a break. Anyways, I digress. But we can go on for days about this in Montreal.
So what was the original question? We got onto this tangent about the things being late in construction.
Yeah. It's always over budget, never on time.
So the two things that are crazy.
This is where you're supposed to say not with Plancher Bellefeuille.
Yeah, I mean honestly, we've gotten a lot better. We have a team that does like quality control stuff. So if there's ever an issue after the job, we have a specific guy who'll come out and he'll take care of all the repairs that are needed. So we're making strides in that sense. But construction as a whole is a funny one. I don't think there's any other industry like it where the trades, I don't want to say they don't work well together, they legitimately hate each other. So you have the plumber who's there, and you see all these memes or these reels of what do you hate about the plumber and the electrician, but it's like no one can work together, and it's just basically. And they don't work for the same company, so it's understandable. But you'll have the plumber who will do something that makes it that the floor guy can't do his thing, but then the electrician needs to do this. So it's just there's so many moving parts in just a standard construction. So I'll go and I'll measure a staircase. I measure. So what can go wrong is I can measure wrong. It's a product of nature. So it's wood. It's there's humidity in the wood. There's coloration in the wood. So then there's our production team, so there could be an error on that end. So there's probably 6-7 steps before it reaches the client's finished staircase. The installation there could be an error that can cut something wrong or cut off a half an inch too much. That piece is damaged. We've got to make a new one, come back in 2 weeks, unfortunately, kind of thing. So from that standpoint, we've gotten really good at having our jobs finish on time, but
being more efficient.
Yeah, and we try to catch the problems. We have someone at our shop that's looking at the colors, but I understand again that people are spending a lot of money and they want things to be perfect, but you have the Pinterests of the world that'll show a certain expectation, which is not kind of not normal. So it's where I see I see the back end of a staircase. So you take a stair tread, for example. It seems so simple. It's a piece of wood.
Yeah.
But there's a combination of 5 different pieces that are hand planed down, glued together, and we try to match the variations as much as we can. And then people see a plastic floor that looks super uniform, and they want that, but they don't understand that it's a piece of wood. So we've had these incidents where you bring a staircase to a client and they don't like the variations in the wood, and you try to explain the differences in the nuances in the color and all that, but you can never win, unfortunately. Yeah. So in that sense, those are the inevitables, and that's just part of the business. But from our standpoint, we've gotten really good at checking orders, measuring. We try not to make mistakes. I've made every mistake once, so that's good. So I've gotten them all out of the way. Yeah. But we do some high-end stuff. We do some floating metal beams that if you're off by a quarter of an inch, you have $10,000 of steel. That's literally.
Jesus. Okay, so you got to double, triple, quadruple check the measurements and all that stuff.
Yeah, there's AutoCAD file. There's drawings that are done that you can go verify afterwards. But
what's the most expensive project you've ever done? Like the sexiest project?
So it depends on what you classify as sexy. So I guess like for the.
I always like I saw a photo once. Sorry to cut you off. I saw a photo once of a floating staircase. I thought it looked phenomenal.
Yeah, those are fun, but those we've done so many times that it's become I don't want to say it's easy, but it's become easy. I'm gonna jinx myself. The next one's not gonna fit, but those are honestly easier than a normal staircase. You basically So you go, you measure the height and then the run, and then you send it to a guy. He makes an engineer. He makes a plan. He stamps it, sends it back to you. You can go double check, but if you measured right, there's no reason to double check. It's a 3D plan. You send it to the contractor. He approves it. And then we show up 6 guys. It takes maybe an hour. We hoist it into place. We got a crane that brings it into the place. You drill it to the top, and then you just drill some treads onto it. So
damn, it's that easy to get a floating staircase.
That easy. I mean, there's obviously the guy who's building the metal and welding all the stuff behind the scenes, but it's a little easier than you think. I mean, I have a restaurant background, so before working in
you're at Kirkland Resto.
I did Kirkland. I did the Dome. The Dome was where that was my like initial. The Dome. Yeah, I was there for maybe 6-7 years. I was there a long time. I did that and then Kirkland Bar at the same time.
Okay.
Lost my train of thought. So
the sexiest project.
Yeah, so I like restaurants. So restaurants is I sell a tabletop for a restaurant. I find that cool because I can go eat there after and I can say like
it's my table.
I did those tables. It's weird. It's like I have this weird so we did. I mean, there's a couple that Lucille's Joe Beef. We did a couple tables for Tuck Shop for Mr. Metcalf. We did
great restaurant, by the way. Tuck Shop.
Love that spot. He was in a pinch. He needed a couple tables. I was more than happy to get that done. Yeah. But no, we just finished a project. It's kind of top secret. I can't really say the name, but I'll just hint of where it is. Yeah. So it's it's in the Eaton Center, so that'll probably give it away. But basically, it's one of the largest Art Deco restoration projects in the city. So it's a restaurant that opened, I want to say 1939.
Okay.
It was modeled after the Ile-de-France boat. So the Lady Eaton, so the owner of the Eaton Center's wife, went on this boat and fell in love with it. They made a restaurant that looks like it. And when I say a restaurant, it's like I think 300-400 capacity in one room, and then there's 3 separate rooms. It'll be like maybe one of the biggest capacity restaurants in Montreal. They built it in 1999. It closed the doors. No one ever kind of did anything with it after. And then
the restaurant.
Yeah, basically that whole floor was just like the elevators just didn't go up to that floor. Huh. It's not in the Eden Center you can access it from that side, but it's a separate entrance across from Café Olympico on Robert
I know exactly where that is. Yeah.
So the floors. So the mandate was to basically mimic what was there originally, and it's not 100 years ago, but almost 100 years ago. This the techniques and everything is not the same. The milling of the wood, so it's this herringbone pattern, which is like that overlapping pattern, and it's, for reference, 2 inches by 16 inches. Now we're selling floors that are like 7 to 10 inches wide. So it's this tiny little floor, and it's 2 different species.
So it's to give it that like rustic look.
Yeah, but it has to match exactly to what was there. So like they gave me like 3 little pieces of wood, and they said I want it to look like this, and I'm like, oh well, this was from 60 years ago. So
we just make it happen.
And so we did run. We had to get sample approval, finish approval, all that stuff, and then there's a couple other nuances where like the border is like really a complicated border that contours with some round walls, and it all has to stitch in. There's a little caveat at the end. It all has to stitch into the old floor. They're keeping a little 2-foot section of the old floor. Anyway, so it was 3-4 weeks of labor. I mean, production was a long time. Came out great. They're not open yet, and then we had the tables.
When are they opening?
Like now, kind of spring 2024. They've had a few events, but the tables I think we're delivering next week. So
I want to know what this restaurant is. You can tell me off camera after.
Yeah, no, it's cool. There's it's basically 3 restaurants within one facility, but it was really cool. It was like,
is this the same place where they have the timeout?
No, well, it's in that same area, but it's like kind of a separate building from there.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was interesting. They had the Prime Minister of France there last weekend for like a kickoff kind of thing. So
they had the Prime Minister. They had the President of Greece here 2 weeks ago, I think, 2-3 weeks ago. And he's with Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, so they went to Alphabet or something, one of those cafe.
Yeah, and they went to Bernie Bang.
Yeah.
So there's photos of Bernie Bang.
Yeah.
Yeah, good old Trudeau. I love that guy.
That was Saturday. I saw this huge security detail going out for dinner. We see like maybe 30 cop cars driving down. That's that hotel that they all like to, whenever they have those summits, they all stay at, like kind of cusp of Old Port near the courthouse.
Yes.
And so I saw, I'm like, oh, Trudeau must be in town. And then I see them. The Prime Minister of France was at this event. So
what's the Prime Macron?
Yeah, I think Macron. I didn't even know it was him until I saw like the Instagram post.
Yeah, I think it's Macron. So what's the future for Mr. Chris Domsodi?
I mean, just kind of try to build a little bit more of a network. So
how long did it take you to actually, because it's kind of, and you can say this about a lot of industries, it's like this in insurance as well. It takes time to build your network and all the people, and to be known as like the guy for wood. Like, do you ever cold call, or is it kind of just all inbound now? How long did it take you to build this network of people that are always contacting you? Like, if I had to guess, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're probably at a point now where you don't really need to cold call. There's enough inbound leads coming in just because they know who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to transition a bit more out of the office, because, I mean, the walk-in leads are amazing. I've got some really big leads from walk-ins. But
they just straight up walk into the office.
Yeah, they'll just, like, we have a showroom, so like, so we got a full showroom. So if someone walks in, they'll give take 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is.
Sounds like a nice business.
Yeah, no, it's fun. So it's, as a salesperson, it's kind of the dream. I had this one, I'll never forget it, like a Friday at like 4 o'clock, or 4:45, whatever it was. I was like, had my bag on my back, and I see this nice car pull in the parking lot. Not that, because it's a nice car, I did. So I see the guy come out, and I said, oh, this guy looks like my kind of guy. Put my bag down. And I got, it was my second biggest sale of my career from this walk-in. I mean, there's,
and like, what's a big sale? Like, would be what order?
That was a couple $100,000.
Couple $100,000.
Yeah, that was a big house in that we did. It was like a flooring and staircase project. So all from a walk-in. I mean, he heard about us for some reason and came in. So
he saw your TikTok video.
Yeah, could be that. So yeah. So that.
And what kind of car did you have?
Tesla.
Oh, nice.
Tesla, but the one with the gull wing doors. That flat
the Model X.
Yeah. So X exactly. Elon, he just had a 10% cut in his employees there. He did a bit mass layoff.
Did he at Tesla?
Yeah, Tesla did they said to be a little more lean with the company, but
I knew they were having trouble with the stock. I didn't watch the news too much. I never read into it because I feel like the media attacks him a lot. I don't understand why they attack him so much.
Yeah. But they said sales have plateaued, and I wonder if it's just because everyone that wanted a Tesla has purchased a Tesla, or if it's just the infrastructure's not there yet. And
it could also just be the economy. It could be outside factors, right? Like, there's competition in China. I know they have a factory in China, and I heard that the sales aren't doing that well in China right now, or as well as they wanted them to be doing. Sales here are not going that well. I think just a lot of people, I think the demand just isn't there. And, like, the consumer in Canada, and even in the US, it's like the consumer in Canada is not doing well.
Yeah. Like, would you, lifestyle wise, would you be able to have a Tesla, or would it something that interests you?
Mm-hmm.
Like a full plug-in car. It doesn't have to be necessarily a Tesla, but a full plug-in.
That's a good question. No. I like having gas.
Yeah, I like the autonomy of it. Like the,
it's bad, and I don't know actually, because Teslas. Here's the thing with Teslas: every single person that's ever purchased a Tesla, they always say they love it.
Yeah.
But I don't like. Sometimes I like to drive places. Sometimes I have to go far. I don't like the fact of, especially in the winter, where the battery doesn't go that far, and that's always going to be in the back of your mind. Like, let's say I have to go to Ottawa, or let's say I have to go to Toronto. Let's say, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have to stop, charge, and especially in the winter, you're not getting 400 or 500 kilometers to a charge. You're probably going to get closer to like 250 on a cold day. So I would say no. Plus, I also don't like the fact that like the government's just shoving it down my throat that I need to have an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
And it's like the biggest joke in the world. They're like, oh, by 2035, you're going to have one. It's like, guys, you'll never get the grid where like the grid, people need to understand the grid will not be able to support everyone in Canada, 40 million people, let's say 45 million people by then. Half of them drive, or I don't know. But let's just say it's like 10 million cars. Like 1 or 2% of all people have electric cars right now. You want to have 100%? The grid won't be able to handle it.
And at the same time, they got rid of gas stoves, so heating of your house, and I mean, the stove doesn't take up much, but the heating of your house now has to be all electric. I mean, the same thing will happen with these big condo towers. That's why there's a big boom right now in building, because they have to go to electric. Again, the grid won't be able to support it, and it's cost so much more to.
Well, yeah, exactly. Like, how are you going to have everyone in? I used to live in a condo building, and there was, let's say, 200 units, and just in the parking lots, 2 floors parking lots completely full. There's probably 300 cars in there.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to get a freaking one of those charging stations. You're going to get 300 of them.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
And like the government's going to do that. They can't do anything.
Yeah, you can subsidize it all you want, but at the end of the day, it's not feasible.
They're incompetent.
Imagine all 300 people plug in their car at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock when they get home.
It's going to be crazy. Yeah, exactly. It's not going to be able to do it. So to answer the question, at this point in time, maybe I would get a Tesla. If I live in California, I'd get a Tesla.
Yeah.
Or Vancouver, in like a more mild climate, I'd be down to get a Tesla. They're beautiful. They're really fast. What about you?
My philosophy is like, if you have 2 cars, if you have a gas car and then you're able to have that kind of secondary one. For my lifestyle, it wouldn't work. I mean, there's 3 charging stations on a street away, but they're full all the time, and I hate the idea of having to rely on them being open.
Yeah,
and then
there you go. So imagine, let's say that in 5 years, and they're shoving it down your throat, you need to have an electric vehicle, and then there's no charging station for you. Like, what happens if you can't charge your car?
Yeah, a car just sits in the middle of the road until it gets towed.
What happens if you live in the boonies, like in the en région somewhere?
Yeah.
Like those places there, and they're driving 60, 70 kilometers a day in the middle of the winter, and there's no charging stations anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff I think that they need to think about, and I think everyone needs to kind of, and it's finally nice. I find that the conversation now, people are kind of starting to realize that it's like, okay, we're down to electrify and we should be transitioning to like cleaner energy. I'm not saying we shouldn't, but to just like snap our fingers and do this overnight and just get rid of oil is completely, number one, unrealistic. And a lot of Canadians too don't understand that like oil pays for our way of life and our welfare state. Like it's our biggest export in Canada. And if you get rid of oil, we're super poor. Yeah. So it's like, and a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah. I like the idea of like a good compromise for me is that hybrid, like a plug-in, like the Jeep.
Hybrid, I'd be down.
45 kilometers, gets you to work and back, and it's, if you forget to plug it in, you whatever. It's like your phone. My phone dies 3-4 times in a day, but you could always plug it in. You know, you're never stuck anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll flip a question to you.
Yeah.
So restaurants, I know you used to work in a restaurant. I
did.
I applied to that restaurant.
Too
many times I applied to that restaurant. They didn't call me.
It was fun.
Would you say that every single person should at one point in their life work in a restaurant, and B, is that the best sales training? Can you be better at sale? Like, is there something that can teach you selling better than a restaurant?
I would definitely say that, especially if you're a student, working in a restaurant and being a waiter is an absolutely number one great way to make money. You can't make more money at that age part-time than being in a restaurant, in my opinion, unless you're like an illegal drug dealer. I think that's the only way you can like legit make more money, because you can't go work in an office. If you're going to go work in an office anyways, I mean, you're a noob. You're not going to be good at anything. They're not going to pay you that much hourly. So you make all these tips, especially if you're like a cute girl and you work like, I'm sorry, it's just a fact. Cute girls get tipped more than boys.
100%.
It's true. It just is. You see this girl I used to work with, and you know, I was a good waiter too, and she was cute, and she was a great waitress, and she was very friendly. And the tips she would always make at the end of the night, I'm like, fuck. I'm like, how do you make that much money? She's like, well, I'm doing a better job than you. I'm like, I do a good job too. I think probably has to do with the fact you're cute. I think that helps. It doesn't hurt. It definitely doesn't hurt. But anyways, being in a restaurant, it helps you sell. It helps you speak to people. It helps you not be shy to go approach people. Like I found, I don't know if it's the same for you, after being done at Ye Olde Orchard, when I worked there for 2 or 2.5 years, I'm an extrovert to begin with, but I was even more like, hey man, how you doing? I'd go speak to anybody, because you're speaking with strangers pretty much all day. That's the job. Yeah. It's like people coming in, most of the time you're not going to know them. They're strangers. You're going to speak to them, start conversation, take their order. But yeah, I would totally agree. It's an absolutely fantastic way to make good money, and for you to develop skills for real life sales skills. And especially for someone that's introverted, like my girlfriend's on the more introverted side. She said when she started working in the restaurant and she started off as a hostess, you don't have a choice. You have to go speak to people. Like even if you're uncomfortable with it, you have to greet them, you have to ask them questions. And she said absolutely it helped her come out of her shell. She's still more on the shyer side compared to me, but I think if she probably never worked in a restaurant, she probably wouldn't be as outgoing today. And
you could size up people too. You walk up to a table, I mean, your intro is always going to be the same. Hey, how's it going, guys? What can I get you to drink? And you can tell right away if the person's like they're back at you. Hey, what's up? You know, you're like, oh, these guys are going to be fun. So and you'll treat it that way. Yeah. But then you get someone who's a little more timid and quiet, like you know, they just want to get good service kind of thing. So it's the same goes with like any kind of sales process. You know, sometimes I'm a little too jokey maybe when I'm selling, but you know, you kind of read the room or read the client you have. And then you obviously, like you said, you get rewarded. I mean, back to the who gets more tips. I mean, I worked at a ball hockey place. That's literally only guys that would be customers there, and they would be like, oh, I want to be served by her, not you.
Yeah, of course. Of course. No, it's like it matters if like dudes, especially older men, and they're not doing it to, you know, have sex with the waitress. I'm sure some of them are, but like not that it ever happens, but they it's like a 60-year-old dude who's there with his boys. 10 times out of 10, maybe not, let's say 9 times out of 10, if they had the option to get, hypothetically speaking, the exact same service and have either a man who's nice or a cute girl, they're going to take the cute girl.
100%.
Like, that's just a fact. They're going to take the cute girl.
Every time. And I mean, maybe to end the restaurant point is the tipping. The tipping, like in outside of restaurants. Yeah. Oh, it's one of my big pet peeves. Like I was at Starbucks on Saturday.
They're asking for tips too now.
And they'll give you like the old, hey, the machine's going to ask you a question. Like, you know what the question is. Yeah. But what people don't, I think people just don't understand is like servers pay they get a lesser wage, so it's not a minimum wage. There was like a server minimum. When I was working, it was a server minimum wage. So I was making less than what I would make if I worked at Canadian Tire or any other minimum wage job.
Yeah.
And then I also get like taxed. So I get taxed. The government, I think it's 7% or 8% that the government thinks that you're going to make tip on your sales.
Yeah. So they assume, to my understanding, what it is, it's because a lot of times people think, and this is not always right. A lot of times people think that they're getting taxed on 8% of their sales, but that's not exactly it. It's, to my understanding, it's okay. So let's say, because they know how much sales you're making, assuming that's all through credit card and they can track everything. If it's cash sales, you can't track that. So let's say you sell $1,000 in a night. So the government's going to assume that you made $80, 8%, when in fact, most of the time you're making 15. Yeah. But today, a lot of times, most restaurants, because no one's paying cash anymore, so the government, they actually see your exact tips. So they started tipping on your tips.
Oh, okay. So
they don't have to assume anymore.
Yeah.
So they get to see your actual. Most places there's no cash out at the end of the night, so you get your tips on a paycheck. Yeah. So the government's got their nose in. They got their nose in everywhere.
I didn't know that. I always wondered. Like I know it's like a thing where you say, cash tips. Like it was always a thing. Like people preferred it, but I never really knew why. But like
now more than ever, it makes a difference. Before it didn't really, because they made the assumption that you make $10,000 throughout the week, you're going to make $800 in tips. When in reality, you're probably making like closer to $1,500. Yeah. Now they don't have to guess; they get to see what it is.
Yeah. So like the prompt. I mean, if anyone gives good service, I'm a great tipper. I think I am. If anyone gives good service, sure, but to go, like, what's next? So I imagine I sold you a hardwood floor and I flipped the machine like to get your 40% deposit. There's a tip feature. Like, I mean, it's the same premise. It's the same.
I agree.
Same thing. I mean, like Starbucks is more service, but I'm giving you service too.
I completely agree with you, man. It's like I got no issue if I'm at a bar or I'm at a restaurant and you're running around. I got no issue giving you a tip, 15% minimum. If you're good service, I'll give you 20%. Like, no problem. But I agree. Going to stores, going to like sandwich checkouts. When we were younger, there was no tips. This all started over COVID. Yeah. And because we felt bad for the people there, because we're like, hey, shit, this person's probably going to lose their job here. Take a little bit of extra. I can afford to give you a little bit extra. And now it's just become entitlement. Yeah. I don't like it one bit. And like sometimes if they're really nice, I'll tip like $1. Or especially Uber drivers. I'm sorry, man. Like, I'm not tipping you. There's a delivery fee. It's already expensive to order it. There's a delivery fee. There's always these hidden charges, like charge. And then they want you to tip on top of the whole entire amount. And the next thing you know, when you're ordering like a sandwich that if you were to go into the store and not pay tips, it's going to cost you like $9. It's costing you $22.
Yeah. And it's tipped on the percentage of what the sale is. So it's if the guy goes and picks up a bag at a high-end restaurant that you're ordering $100 worth, or he picks up a sandwich, he's doing the same thing.
Yes.
He's going to a location picking. And
I agree.
But my tip is based on how much I'm spending.
I agree. There's always that debate on what's your opinion on this? Okay, this is always an interesting debate. In a restaurant, so let's say it's 15%. You're going to tip 15%, and you go to a Ewald Orchard, so it's not that expensive. And let's just say the waiter does the exact same amount of work, right? Which it is, but let's say they're bringing you like a $400 bottle of wine. Like, what's your opinion on tipping 15% on that? Because whether they bring you a pint, that's $10, or a bottle of wine, it's $300. Do you tip percentage or a fixed amount? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, back to like the original point where it's on sale. So like in that sense, you have no choice but to tip percentage. I never really thought
you have a choice, but you'll be viewed as an asshole.
But like technically, if they're getting taxed on with the sale included, then if you tip less than 15% on the $400, then they're kind of losing out on it. But because if they bring you, like they get taxed on the. But I never really thought of it. I mean, I agree with you 100%. It's like if I'm buying a bottle of wine, even that's $40 versus $400, you're doing the same. It's the same service.
Same shit.
Yeah,
it's the exact same shit.
And you can rack up a bill. Like you go to these high end restaurants. That's what I mean. That's why these high end restaurants are lucrative to work at.
Yes.
You get a bill. Your bill's if your bill's not $1,000, they're looking at you like, oh, what's wrong with you? It's like
I used to work at when I was 18 years old. I worked at Buonanotte, and it was like they had just done the renovation for like a section of the restaurant. This was like at the booming days, the heydays of Buonanotte. It was like the place to be for Grand Prix, and that was one of the first weekends that I worked. I saw some of these waitresses on a table, and this is back in 2007, make like $800 tip on a table. And they give it cash. Yeah. And these waitresses, they don't tip out. No. Like they barely tip out, but they're some of them were making like $3-4 grand in a night.
Wild. I mean, the lifestyle
back in 2007. Yeah. Imagine making $3 grand cash in a night. That's a lot of fucking money, man.
Where do you even put that money?
Yeah, I don't know.
And they, not to to downgrade the job, but it's to bring bottles to a table, and it's the same premise where it's like you can bring a one bottle, you can bring 10. You're bringing the same. It's not even you technically bringing it. Somebody else is bringing it.
Yeah, and they're always and the good ones there. I mean, most of them were very pretty, and the really 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 good ones. They know how to play it. They're like it's the perfect amount of being flirtatious. And kind of still doing your job well and stuff, but they're really good. Yeah. They know how. It's like an art
for sure,
and they're very good. They'll flirt with you.
I just validated my question. Sales comes. Good salesmen come from restaurants.
Yes. So let's get into this pandemic. Why was there? Well, I think I know why, but why was there such a boom in sales or anything kind of home improvement related?
Yeah, I mean, so people had nowhere to go and nowhere to spend their money on. So everyone was saying, okay, well, this floor I've been looking at or this staircase I've been looking at for so many years. It's like if I'm not going to spend whatever five to 10,000 on my vacation, I'm going to spend it on home improvement. So we saw
I think also too, just because everyone's value of their house shot up through.
That too. I didn't
during pandemic as well, and I think a lot of people I'd be curious to know what percentage of people during the pandemic spent their money or if it was a home equity line of credit, they just took, because let's say their home is at 100 grand and now all of a sudden it's 200 grand. It's more than that, but okay, well, I'm $100,000 richer. They go to the bank. Can I get a loan based off that extra 100 grand in equity? And they'll give it to you.
It was nuts. You'd send out a quote, and I would say almost 9 out of 10 times I was getting quote don't even have to follow up with them. It was just wow. It was just let's do it. And not taking advantage. Our prices were with the market, so we had a lot. So we're a lumber yard, I guess you call it. We have let's say something like 3 million board feet of wood, which is it's hard to, if you don't know about wood, it's a lot. We have we have a huge yard, and it's stacked to the brim at all times, and it's in and out being sold. During the pandemic, it was literally desolate because prices were just too high. To buy a certain product, let's say to make a stair tread, it just didn't make sense. We had to refuse orders sometimes, saying we can do your order, but it's going to cost you 4 times more than it usually does. And to us, that doesn't make wouldn't make sense. So in that sense, it was really hard. Certainly, people were taking advantage, but it was more just people were, how quick can you do it kind of thing. And
so was business good or bad during the pandemic?
Good. It was great.
It was fantastic.
It was amazing. It was the ultimate pressure test for us. We had to, we were at that point, had I was kind of newer, and then we had another salesperson that just jumped on too. So we were in kind of a perfect position. We had invested in some good machinery in the back, which was going to help us scale up. And it was just a perfect storm. So we did really well, and we were happy with it, but it was crazy. It was I was working nonstop. I mean, not that that's everyone works hard, but nonstop, and it's you there wasn't enough hours in a week to get through all the calls and inquiries we had. And installation wise, we were full literally every single day. It's this guy was not ready. It's fill it in with this. It was
the business is booming.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not it's slowed down. What I've noticed recently with the slowdown is more. Our higher end markets are still there, so people, obviously, who have money who are not affected by the economic situation.
Yeah, it's usually like that. I find it's the rich, the rich stay rich, they're poor anyways. They never had money to begin with. It's usually in a recession, the middle class that takes a hit, which they lose their disposable income.
Yeah, which I don't know is it from the pandemic? Everyone, my parents are a good example. They didn't go on vacation. They go to Florida every year for a month, and they didn't go to Florida that thing, and they ended up renting it. So they said, we're going to take that money. We're going to get new windows for the house. They didn't. They needed new windows, but they could have waited 6 years to do the windows. But they did it, and they paid, a COVID price when the window company already had enough business. And, but it was nuts. There was delays you wouldn't believe. We were getting so our imported stuff, they had that the ocean freight surcharge, they would call it. So I would have my price. I would sell you so
it wasn't the cost of a container. It was 10x or something, right?
Insane. And it was
is most of the wood you guys get, is it from overseas or is it locally from BC? Where's most of the wood coming from?
It depends on what. So hardwood, so maple, birch is all going to be sourced locally, Quebec and Ontario kind of area. Yeah. So our hardwood floors are, we have our production is literally, it's in St. Jerome, and we source the wood from this area. We have a European import that we bring in for engineered hardwood, so that's a different type of hardwood. It's basically a substrate of plywood with hardwood on top. So that's become a really on trend thing because people want wide planks. So we sell that like crazy now. That comes from Europe. We have a supplier in Portugal, and then there's suppliers that come from stuff from China, and then anything plastic, quote unquote. So any laminate or vinyl floor that's coming from overseas. So they were at the point where it's $1.50 is the price, and I would keep it advertised as $1.50, but I would have an item line saying ocean freight surcharge and it would be like $1 sometimes. Like you're paying almost double the price because of the ocean freight.
Yeah.
And suppliers couldn't guarantee prices for 48 hours. They would send you a quote.
Wow.
And they would say subject to change within 48 hours.
Has it stabilized since?
Oh yeah,
way more stable.
That's gone now.
Right?
That ocean freight. Like right now there's a little bit of a surcharge in shipping because of all the wars going on in the world. But yeah, no, that was kind of, it was. I mean, for us, it created a little bit of urgency, which was nice for sales. But I didn't like it. It was putting pressure on people that didn't want to have pressure on them. And every week we're getting a new price.
I guess
list.
you'd go up. So you show a quote and you say, "Look, this is my price. It's 48 hours. Take it or leave it. Next week it might not be the same."
Yeah, and back orders were usually we have 30 SKUs of colors. The person goes in. I'm talking about like the vinyl floors that are imported. They say, okay, I want that color. You send a PO. Okay, it'll be shipped out next Friday. Now it's like you got to call and be like, hey, when are you going to get this? Ooh, it's back order. But if you place the order now, I can maybe steal some from Toronto. It was everything's back order and late, and you're constantly calling, hey, I can only get it in 3 months, and you're losing sales for that. And
this sounds like a job that AI will never be able to replace.
Yeah, that's it. It's like managing inventories, I guess. Like AI. So we did.
Well, there's just so many moving parts, and then you have like borders, you have laws at borders, you have import taxes, you have like there's just so much stuff to take into consideration. I don't see AI kind of taking that over. Like AI it's obviously going to replace displace a lot of people in different industries, but something like this, I mean, if it is going to replace that, it won't be for a long time.
Yeah,
I don't think.
For us, AI, I mean, it's. Like we went to a show in Vegas recently, and they were talking about how you can use AI. So there's for sure ways to incorporate.
I guess AI probably just like to stay more organized in the back, maybe and stuff. But like when it comes to the actual sales, getting the wood there, installing it, AI is not going to do that.
No, that's it. It's more logistics and management from people.
Yeah.
But to finish that thought, the containers it was nuts. They would say, okay, the container's usually $3,000. They're saying, okay, well, if you want your stuff on time, it's $13,000. And if you said no, they would say, okay, well, I got someone who's going to pay.
Yeah, someone else will pay.
So the big companies were able to pay it, and then the small guys were just. I went with one supplier from a little company from Quebec, and they basically had their entire collection back ordered for like 6 months because they just couldn't pay the fee.
Jesus, that's frustrating.
Yeah, but
what's the creme de la creme of wood?
So in terms of popularity,
not popular, like the highest quality cut. I guess we would call it.
Yeah, you could say it would be species. I guess would be. Yeah. So I mean, walnuts, like this table's like an example of walnut.
This is a good table.
I mean, this is not real wood, but this is an imitation of walnut. No offense. But this is. And then
I got this from Trass Office Solutions.
Yeah, and
it's
even
really heavy though.
Even the cut. So this is like a linear cut. So what we sell the most of right now is white oak. White oak is super popular.
Oak?
Yeah, white oak is what everyone wants, and there's different cuts of it. So basically, you have your tree, and normally it's flat sawn, so they cut just straight through the log.
Okay.
And then when you do quarter sawn, they cut from quadrants. So they cut from the 3 quadrants, and they rotate the tree, so it makes it these like linear and kind of cuts. It's called rift cut. So I mean the most.
You know your wood.
Yeah, I can get boring if I keep talking about the wood, but walnut and white oak are the most popular and the most expensive. And then we have exotic wood too. You can introduce these. There's like unknown amount of species of exotic wood. There's one called Ipe, which is like the Atlantic City Boardwalk. Fun fact is made of it. It's like rot proof. You can submerge it in water. You can take a nail almost, and you can hit the nail, and the nail will bend before going through the wood. It's pretty indestructible, and that stuff. I mean, to give you a price range, you have a laminate floor, which is $1.25 a square foot.
Okay.
You have a white oak floor, depending on quality and grade. If we're saying creme de la creme, it could be $12 a square foot, and then you have Ipe, which is going to be $22 a square foot. So,
Jeez.
So there's definitely a big flux. And
how much would it cost to get like let's say a table like this, but one of those sexy. Let's say I call you up. I go, Chris, I really want to have a really nice table like this. I want to throw this in the garbage, and I want to get a nice, sexy oak table. That'd be what, like $5,000, $10,000?
Yeah, around there. I would say 5 to 10. Depends on, it's thickness and design. So I did one for a buddy recently, and it was these legs it was these custom legs he saw on the internet, and it was we sourced the material for it, and we did it, and it was really cool. But it's just the legs themselves took 8 to 10 hours of shop time just to make 4 legs for a table. So it's like it's hard to factor that in, but. I mean, my prices. There's tables. My colleague sold a table that's 16 feet long. It's like 16 feet. Like, how many friends do you? I don't even have enough friends to sit 16 people, and that's like that was probably
like all one piece, not even like connected, just one piece.
One big piece, 16 feet. Damn. We shipped it there. It's like a huge house, obviously that can have a 16-foot table, but.
That would be a nice party, a nice Christmas dinner you could have on that table.
Yeah, not beer pong regulation, but
no. Yeah. Okay. Last question, or kind of, I guess, as we get to the end of this, finishing up, how did you, I probably should have asked this at the beginning, like how the hell did you get started in hardwood flooring? Because like you're a hockey guy, you're a waiter, I don't think you can study to be a hardwood floor guy in school, a woodologist. How'd you get into this?
I potentially could be the first person to get a job from a bachelor party. I don't know if there's anyone else that got that. Long story short, a friend of mine was getting married. He went to Denver for his bachelor party. His father was part of the bachelor party. Father's obviously my boss.
Okay.
Combination of things. I just didn't shut up, kind of thing, and I was just talking. And he was like,
"You like to talk?"
I love to talk. I love to talk. There's a couple like funny moments in the bachelor party where I would like, one is maybe should be off camera, but I'll say it anyways. Our group of guys were at this awesome outdoor place. Not that we're there to meet women. We all had significant others, but there was, just
it's a bachelor party. You're going to talk to girls.
So there's 15 of us all in our booth, and we had a ton of alcohol. And then I see a bachelorette across the way, and I walk. So if you look at it from a different perspective, you have like there's I think four adults that were on the trip, plus the other guys are considered adults too, but 4 fathers.
Yeah.
So from their point of view, you see Chris walk over to this bachelorette party, and then they all follow him to the guys, and they're like, what did you say? I'm like, just don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Full disclosure, I just said, hey, we have all the alcohol you can drink. come over here.
That usually works.
Yeah, literally, I didn't say anything special. So it was a combination of just being with him, I guess, for the weekend. And he offered me a job. Met a couple times, obviously, before starting, and
you knew nothing about this industry.
Nothing.
Zero.
Yeah, I would say I'm decently handy. Like I've worked in landscaping. Okay. I've cleaned pools. I've done a pool. I know how to service a pump and stuff like that. Like I'm somewhat handy, but like literally zero knowledge about wood. Couldn't tell you the difference between maple and white oak. So I did.
So you started off green.
Yeah, which is funny because that's technically how hardwood floors start off, green. Full circle. I did about a week. That's a clip. I did about a week in every department. So let's say like our flooring section. So I would sit there and I'd learn and watch them make the floor. I worked in the carpentry shop. I mean, like again, I didn't know how to use a tool, so I was like scared of the saws and all that. But it was a great way to learn. Obviously, meet your coworkers too. But it was a great way to learn. But I'm asking stupid questions. Like I'm this carpenter. Here comes this new young guy, sales guy, and I'm like, hey, what kind of wood is this? And like, are you serious? It's like, so anyway, I learned a little bit about that.
Did they bully you a little bit because you were so green?
Yeah, I mean, I don't say bully, but there was definitely like a I have to prove myself kind of moment, like in like a hockey team kind of thing. But but then the sales kind of came natural, which was my first sale, like official sales job. So that I learned a lot from.
What was your first sale?
My first.
Everyone remembers their first.
Yeah, mine didn't go very well. Got sued.
Did you really?
No, not officially, but almost. It was
okay, so what happened?
It was a vinyl floor for this office space, and it was just not we didn't install it, and it was like a floor that shouldn't have been in that use. It was a really low end floor, paired with a very uneven subfloor, which created
undulations or something.
Which cracks and breaks. But I was the sales guy. I just sold the product. I didn't go see the place. So I don't have no idea the site conditions, nor did we install. And then we went there, unfortunately, for the claim. And I went with, I brought the rep from the floor, the company that we bought the floor from. And she said, like, I mean, come on, like I can't, there's nothing I can do about this. Look at your floor, put a, straight edge. And it was just that was a tough first experience. But after that, we had a few that went really well. And I was kind of hooked, I like the.
Did you get did panic set in when you realized that something was wrong with this sale?
Yeah. Well, I got the call saying, hey, there's something wrong. So I looked at it, and I was still pretty new, and I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, well, I think it's because of this. And then I did, proper discourse. I brought the rep in, and she showed me basically that there's just the site conditions were like, it's not to get us out of the problem. It was just really not appropriate for this type of product. But yeah, what I found, and then later on, what I find interesting about the job is it's like you see something like that where there's like an issue, and then you try to find a solution. So we're very, obviously like any company, solution driven, but you see this, somebody wants to have this specific thing, and it's not, you can't do it. Like their staircase, they want to have a some sort of custom detail, and I feel like our company is kind of different from the others where we're, I'll go speak to the carpenter, and our team is so talented that they can think of like, oh, here's something, this is the option that we can propose. I mean, a lot from social media too, you see some clips that you're seeing other places, and we'll find solutions to to make jobs go smooth. So I find that's something that I took to in the job, and measuring was kind of interesting too. Like first time having measuring tape in my hand, I don't even know like what the different quarters and half inch and stuff.
Did someone accompany you like the first time?
Yeah. Okay. My sales director, he was with me. Like I wouldn't. Yeah, they wouldn't.
It'd be hilarious if they just sent you off. Like, all right, go buy some hardwood floor. Yeah. What's like your style though? What would you say your style is when it comes to sales?
It depends on the client. So I mean, some sales, like some clients, it's just basically they want a price. It's here's what I got from this guy. Well, can you match it or beat it? And they just don't want to be done with it. And then there's some that you'll spend like 2-3 visits at their house, like hours talking to them, which I like to a certain degree. Obviously, it's hard to scale up if you're.
I would imagine that would be the higher end clientele. Like if they're gonna have.
Yes and no. I mean, like. There's like I'll do if we were talking price point, I can do a staircase for $3,000 and I can spend an hour talking to them about their floor. So I kind of like that. I like building the relationship with the person on site. Obviously, timing is tough because there's just only so much time in a day. I try to do 1 day a week on the road where I do all of my measurements. I'll leave at 6 and I get back at 6 and it's just back to back
all day driving.
Measuring. So
see, that would not be appropriate for a Tesla.
No, exactly. Where am I going to put my measuring tape? It won't even fit. So I mean, there's clients that are like that where I like enjoy talking to them, and you go and you see that like you get a kind of a feel of what they want, and then there's other clients where it's really just cut and dry. Like here's what I want it to look like this, just make it happen.
What's your price?
Yeah, and sometimes you don't even see the person. Like I've had clients where I speak to the client on the phone and I'll deal with the general contractor for the construction. The person could be sitting at the table next to me right now, wouldn't even know who they are. So in that sense, we do have a varying degree of clientele. I would say my style is like try to be more personable. Like you try to build a rapport with the client. I like to make jokes. I'm a little more at the end of the day I'm selling floors and stairs. I'm not performing open heart surgery, so it's not that deep.
And you'll be able to also like obviously I'm sure you'd pick up quite quick on, well, any good salesperson would. So if it's someone who's like a little drier, more straight to the point, then you just kind of adapt and you become more straight to the point, more dry. And some clients are down to have a really good time too. Yeah. Like I find the clients trying to get into sales, I don't like the guys that are like too friendly, because I guess, well, maybe for you it's a little bit different, but for me, let's say I'm trying to get their insurance, because if they're too friendly with me and I just met this person, they're going to be like that with my competitors. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I like it where you kind of have to like break down the barrier a little bit at first, because they're like, and I get it, like especially if you're going to go see them, they don't know who you are. Like why should they trust you? They don't know you. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I like that kind of challenge of having to earn their trust.
Yeah. What I wish I had more of in just not the reality of my industry, but I wish like the old school kind of building a rapport, going out for a beer with the client, or not necessarily beer, but stuff, like good networking kind of thing. Yeah. It's like we go to shows and we talk to people, and like designers you build a relationship with, but it's my relationship is mostly, I don't know if it's the same at KBD, where it's mostly phone and email. Like it'd be cool to build a rapport and
it's on the, I would say on the commercial insurance clients, it's a lot of it's phone for sure, but a lot of it is also we have a lot of clients in the West Island, and a lot of people, they know myself, they know someone that works here. I don't know, it's a good question, but I'm pretty hands-on with like a lot of clients, and not even just like, I'll give an example. At the golf course, we insure a lot of people at the golf course and stuff, but it's just, I think just seeing them, and not even talking about insurance, but just seeing them, they know you, they trust you, saying hello, how you doing, cool, good to see you, and like just stuff like that. I do a lot of that.
Yeah, and I would say almost if you have a good you're using KBD as an example. I have insurance, home and car.
Yes, sir, baby. Loyal client.
No, but it's like I wouldn't. Would I necessarily did I shop around? No, it's because and like do you even have the best price? I don't care necessarily. It's like I know.
Well, it's like this is the thing. It's like, and a lot of it is people. A good salesperson is going to recognize that a lot of times people are going to make the decision based off the relationship. I mean, you're probably with Intact Insurance. You can get Intact Insurance through 500 other insurance brokers in Quebec. Yeah. So it's like, why do you go to KBD? Just like some guy who lives in St. Jerome, he's probably insured with whatever broker that's in St. Jerome. Yeah. Not always, but there are a lot of them that are. They know them, or it's like a friend of a friend, or it gives that familiarity.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna try to help you because I don't know it either. Yeah. No, for sure. Give like a put a face to the name, and then the product kind of is almost on the back burner at that point. It's like, I mean, obviously you have to perform, I have to deliver a staircase that the person's going to like, but but if if they trust you and they and they think they know they're getting a good deal, they don't even have to wander. And
yeah, exactly. And also too, there's like, if they give that confidence, I'm sure you've been doing this for long enough now. So let's say they get a quote at, I don't know, let's say 50 grand and someone's quoting at like 53, but they know you, they've seen you, they're good referrals. I bet you anything, most of the time they're still going to go with you. Yeah, if it's like 50 grand and someone else gives you at 35, they'll...
Yeah, then I always like that though. Like I just did a renovation, like a personal renovation, and it's same thing where I'll get two or three quotes just to be able to compare. Like I know who I want to work with, but just to see if they're not like screwing me necessarily. Yeah. And then you just go with who you like the best, kind of thing. Yeah. I don't find that a bad strategy, and it's just to keep them honest.
Yeah, we do that with commercial insurance like all the time. We can we get it. We can go to market and just say, okay, here's the price, here's the price, here's the price, here's the price. We don't have access to every single insurance company in the world, but as I'm sure you don't have access to every supplier. But just I find also too, using that technique, it shows that you're doing the homework. Yeah, it's kind of like, okay, this is what I think this would be. This is what I think this would be. Yeah, my cousin does the same thing for industrial, because a lot of times if they're doing the industrial shelving, you can get metal from, it's like they have 2 or 3 suppliers. And so kind of same thing. So we speak to all 3 of them, see what the prices are, or speak to the client. A lot of moving parts, trying to sell anything or doing installs on anything like that. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a good place to leave it.
Works for me.
Any last words you'd like to... How do we... people want a nice, sexy hardwood floor. How do we get in touch with you?
Call me up. I mean, we're available on social media also, but it's easier to... I don't know if I plug my cell phone number on this. No,
don't put your cell phone
number. No, just, reach out. We're Plancher Bellefeuille. I mean, we're in St. Jerome as our showroom, but they can ask for me directly, or
Chris Domsodi.
Any of our qualified sales professionals.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
This is the Freemium Podcast. We'll see you guys later.